Aunt Betty did me a solid. R.I.P. Auntie. It's been over a decade since this happened, so I can finally confess my fraudulent actions. I worked at daycare in my early 20s. This was a small independently owned center. Not one of the big companies, so there is no one above the big boss. I hated this job. I was so miserable being in that toxic environment. Yes, toxic in a daycare. The boss would sit in her office and just watch the classrooms from the cameras in the rooms. Now that is a standard practice. Every other place I had been to offered a live feed to the parents. This was so parents could check in on their child while at work. Not this lady, she was the only one allowed to watch the footage. Her favorite thing to do was watch the footage live, find a reason to call you into her office so she could write up. I got written up for a kid who bit another kid because even though I wasn't in the room, I should have corrected that. Their time off setup was awful. If I remember correctly, you couldn't request time off unless you had been there for a year. They didn't offer PTO either. My BF, now husband, surprised me with a week-long trip to Colorado. I had to go. I needed a vacation. Plus I was poor and it was a free trip. Duh. Because of the policy I knew they were not going to let me take off for that. So I lied and said I have to go to Colorado for my aunt's funeral. They legally had to let me take off. But said that I had to bring proof when I got back. I was scared because I wasn't expecting that. I asked what kind of proof? She listed a few things and funeral program was one of them. My BF's father had passed the year before and he was put in charge of making the programs. So we came up with a plan. My BF and I got nicer paper than printer paper and made a program for my Aunt Betty. We needed pictures of her. So I went on Facebook and tried to find someone who matched any descriptions I had given people. After many clicks down the rabbit hole, I found a nice, sweet elderly lady and saved some of her pictures. Now I will remind you I was very young. So I really thought it was a victimless crime. I have learned and grown and have been put back on the straight and narrow path. Shall we continue? We made a very convincing program that included her favorite Bible verse and a favorite poem. Multiple images showed how vibrant my aunt's life was. The topper was to make sure it looked like it was stuffed in a bag. No one ever found out. So shout out to Aunt Betty for literally making my vacation happen. May you rest in peace.